mugwumps, they're everywhere. They're speaking out at board meetings, city hall, town square, courthouse, state house, even the White House. They must be stopped. They are disruptors.
Welcome everyone to Mugwump Media, and welcome to Disruptor Central just over 100 days into the new golden age of America. Kevin, are you happy with the new golden age in America and the first 100 days?
Well, happy's a strong word. I think I'm going to go with I'm having joyful episodes.
That's right. Joyful expectation. We learn this in church. Happy and joyful is not the same thing. That's right.
That's true.
Well, I'm Juanita Bright, and to my right over here, you already heard from him, is my husband, Kevin. Say hello, Kevin.
Hello, Juanita.
Very good. Well, today we wanted to talk just a bit about the things accomplished, and I'm not going to belabor. I know you guys have been deluged with it all over the last few days. You've been hearing lots of things on TV. You've been hearing a lot of things on YouTube and Rumble. I actually printed up, I get a lot of news in my email, and I printed up a really cool little article from the Daily Signal that gives a lot of the information and some funny things that Trump said that are just typical Trump. I thought y'all might enjoy them. So just a keyhole view of what's going on in Trump's head. I enjoy it very much. Kevin.
Keyhole view.
Oh, yeah. You know, like you're looking in, it's like, oh, this is what Trump said. This is what he's thinking. And see, Trump is such an interesting character. He's very transparent. I think the thing that I like most about him, I don't know that we'd be buddies, honestly, but the thing I've always liked about him is he says stuff and you know exactly what he's thinking and what he's saying. Whereas fake politicians, uniparty people, you really don't have any clue because they're so deceptive. They hide everything they say beneath a veneer of political jargon.
He says what he thinks.
He does. Mm-hmm. From the very first time I heard him, I thought, man, this guy's something else. But I like the way he was plain spoken. And I think that's what everybody else likes too.
It's refreshing.
For sure. Anyway, Trump, here's what he said. And this was a great little article. Like I said, Daily Signal by a gentleman named Fred Lucas. And of course, what did he start out with? We are just getting started. Trump hails his first 100 days. He also declared it the most successful 100 days in American history. Of course he did, because this is Trump. But I'm telling you, folks, it was historic from the very beginning. I made some notes for myself, some things that I looked up through the week. Trump has signed 142 executive orders in his first 100 days, and he reversed over 100 of Biden's orders. There were a lot of Biden's orders that needed reversed. Now, of these orders, there have been 17 injunctions and 212 lawsuits. Kevin, lawfare.
Lawfare. It's kind of a second nature, it seems like.
I tell you today, and it's not just national. You see it everywhere, all the way down to communities. We're seeing it in our community.
Used to... People scream about things. Now they just sue you about things.
Oh, I know. About everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Trump made some remarks at the Macomb County Community College Sports and Expo Center in Warren, Michigan, to mark his 100th day in office. And like I said, I enjoyed some of his remarks. They were typical vintage Trump. But at the same time that this 100-day mark came along, these horrible polls, unbelievable polls came out declaring, here's a couple of the things that they declared, folks. Trump has the lowest 100-day approval in 80 years. 80 years, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you believe it?
Well, that's good news. You know what? Sounds like he's over the mark. If they're
right,
whatever
sure.
they're saying, generally the opposite is
of course.
What's going on.
And of course, this was from ABC, an ABC poll. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, mainstream media.
There you go.
There you go.
All
you have to do is look and see who put it out. Mm-hmm. Here's another one. New poll finds that more than 75% of Americans disapprove of Trump's handling of the economy. Kevin, do you disapprove?
You know, No, I'm kind of in the same place I was before. There might be one or two that disapprove now, but I'm pretty sure everybody kind of knew what they was voting for when they voted for him.
Your gut reaction is correct, Kevin, and I'm going to tell you how I know that here in just a moment. This was from USA Today, which is a trash rag, as we have known. We've read some of that stuff before. Now, the thing that I wanted to tell you guys, over the last few days, seeing all these stupid polls, I thought this can't be true. So I actually kind of did a deep dive, and I started looking into some of the things that were being said. Well, if you guys have ever heard of Rasmussen polling, they are highly accredited. As a matter of fact, in 2024, Mark Mitchell is his name. He's their head pollster. And he was one of them. I mean, he got it right. And I remember, man, he was doing laps after the election. And everybody's like, man, Mark, you got it right. Because he was one of the few that was actually doing a good job and predicted pretty much what happened with Trump. But he saw all these crazy polls drop, and he decided to make the rounds and go on YouTube. He went on Rumble, different platforms, went with the podcasters, and basically got it out there that they're all lying. As a matter of fact, one of the things he said, this was his first one that I read, blatant mainstream media lies about Trump's approval. Another one this was another podcast title in which he talked about it. He said, expert pollster exposes media psyop. He went so far as to say they're actually running another psyop on us, which I believe, to cover up the successes of Trump's first 100 days. And he marveled at the obvious cherry picking and coordinating of negative, questionable polls and the absolute silence, and just ignoring any polls that would be favorable to Trump. And you guys know, I don't know if you saw the poll that came out that said 92% of the media attention that Trump has, anything that's being reported on him, any type of attention from the mainstream media across the board has been negative. Only 7.8% positive. And here's the crazy thing, Kevin. I saw this somewhere a couple of days ago. 59% of Biden's first 100 days were positive, of course. It's obviously biased.
I wasn't joyful then.
No, I wasn't either. That was when I was curled up in a ball, remember?
That's true.
That's right, wondering what was going to happen. So here is those two polls that I was telling you about. Mark Mitchell broke it down. Whenever he read it, he's like, this can't be right. So he did a deep dive and he looked into it. Now, the ABC News just announced the results of a New York Times Siena poll. New York Times ought to be your first clue. That just came out declaring Trump has the lowest 100-day approval in 80 years. Now, again, keep in mind they've had all negative stuff, but even so, this is obviously blatantly false. And keep in mind, credible polling firms, according to Mitchell, are expected to sample thousands of people. I think he said like 40,000 people in some of the big polls that they do. Lots and lots of people, thousands of people.
Good sample.
Well, and they try to do a swath that is going to include, they try to include people that are pretty evenly balanced as far as libertarian, Democrat, Republican, independent.
A random sample.
A random sampling. And of course, he looked at this first one and he said that further examination showed that only 913 people were included in this poll. 913 people, Kevin.
That's a small town.
Oh, yeah, just days before the 100-day mark. And of those polled, get this, 16% of them didn't even vote in November. Can we say low information, Kevin?
Well, we can say probably not a good random sample.
I'm thinking so, too. And the numbers also, according to Mitchell, showed that they greatly oversampled Democrats and independents over Republicans, of course, because that's how they roll. And the questions on some of these polls are so misleading. Now, the one from USA Today, the headline, more than 75% of Americans disapprove of Trump's handling of the economy. Now, this one really got me. When Mark Mitchell dug a little deeper, guess what the question that they asked was? How do you rate the economy? Now, here's the thing. That has nothing to do with Trump. We're 100 days in. This is Biden's economy we're dealing with. And that question really had nothing to do with how they feel about Trump. It had to do with jobs, wages, ability to afford a home, ability to afford gas and food, things that are leftover vestiges of the last 4 years of the horrible Biden economy. Now, in conclusion, Mitchell told everybody that the number to watch, this is the number to watch, is the right direction, wrong direction. And in this, he has been watching the polls, and he said Trump is doing pretty good. Again, 92% negative media out there. But he said that, Trump has been steady between 42% and 48% right direction for 13 weeks in a row. Doing well. Mitchell fully expects that number to remain steady. Now, here are a couple of good polls that actually tell you the truth. But of course, Kevin, you would have to look hard and deep to find these, okay? A new Fox News poll taken April 18th through April 21st. Here was the subject: looking back at presidential vote feelings among supporters.
I'm not real interested in feelings.
Okay. So I'm going to interpret this for you, okay? What this is they were trying to find out if people were still happy with their vote, okay? Now, again, keep in mind, just like the Mugwumps, you had the Mugwump effect. In 1884, you had people crossing over from the Republican Party to the Democrat Party to vote for somebody that was actually a pretty good candidate. The very same thing in reverse happened in 2024, all these years later, except this time it was Democrats and independents switching over to vote for somebody they thought was going to save America from the craziness that had overtaken the Democrat Party. So you're probably going to have a few defectors on the face of things, which may be some Democrats that are still having one ear cocked to the mainstream media. So here's the results. Satisfied with the vote, 89%. Wish voted differently, 4%.
Sounds like a lot of happy people.
A lot of happy people. Mm-hmm. Happy with their vote, for sure.
Yeah, I'll go with happy on that one.
Yep. And again, this was a Fox News poll. Now, a CBS News poll, which is probably not going to be quite as good, taken April 23rd through April 26th, said, and the subject was the Trump administration to deport immigrants illegally in the U.S. How many approve? How many disapprove? Approve, 56%. Disapprove, 44%. And again, this was a CBS poll. Kevin, I think people are still approving of the gang members being hauled out.
Well, the math I learned, that's a majority that are happy.
I think so, too. Very much so. A couple of things I was going to read to you. And again, I'm not going to belabor this. We're not going to go on and on today. I just had a couple of fun things. These remarks that he made, of course, he said, we're just getting started. He said, we're taking back jobs, protecting American auto workers, all of our workers, restoring the rule of law, ending inflation, getting the lunacy and transgender insanity out of our government, except he used a colorful word, which I'm not going to use. Stopping indoctrination of children, slashing billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. Doge! Mm-hmm. Love Doge.
Yes.
And I think a lot more people are happy with Doge than they pretend also. Saving the American dream, making America great again, and it's happening fast, of course. Border crossings. This was one of the things that he really focused on, too. He said that 99.999% border crossing had dropped that much since he returned to office.
I think that's a super majority number there.
You think so? Mm-hmm. Pretty funny. And here's what he said. He was making a joke about it. He said, he was talking about his border czar, Tom Homan. He said, the other day, 3 people got in. 3. And I got angry as beep at Tom Homan. How did you allow 3 people, Tom? Which is funny. Is that not typical?
His expectations are high. Right. I agree with him.
Trump issued executive orders to end the catch and release of illegal immigrants, reinstated the Remain in Mexico policy, designated MS-13, Tren de Aragua, and other gangs as foreign terrorist organizations, and greatly ramped up deportations. And you know what? I'm happy about that. And I think everybody else is too.
I'm getting happier all the time.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. This one was funny. I was reading this to Kevin before we went on air. He was talking about the auto pin. I don't know if you guys have heard all the kerfuffle that has been going on about the auto pin. Now, the auto pin was basically something that would imitate a device that would imitate the signature of the president. I think it was made during the Obama administration, I believe, so it was a while back. But basically, if there was an emergency where something needs signed and the president was not available, if he was out of the country, if he was ill, if something was going on that he simply could not sign it, well, let's just say that Mr. Biden got real happy with the auto pin. Kevin, what do you think about the auto pin?
Well, I think probably they ought to do some fingerprint checking
Check
there.
for fingerprints.
I'm not sure who's been using it.
Maybe Jill.
If it's possible.
Or Hunter. Who knows?
Definitely possible.
There you go.
We need some evidence. I think fingerprints would be good. I want to see the pen.
Just so you know, there are some people who are looking at this auto pin. This was what he referred to.
That makes me joyful.
Trump said whoever operated the auto pin was in charge. In other words, it wasn't Biden. It was whoever operated the auto pin. Trump was referring to an auto pin that appears to have been used by someone other than Biden in the Biden administration, get this, to sign off on several executive orders. The Oversight Project, which is a watchdog group, recently issued a legal memo asserting presidential pardons may be invalid, Kevin, if the president doesn't sign them himself, since clemency is a responsibility the Constitution only grants to the president. What do you think of that?
Well, I think an executive order needs to come from the executive.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right.
I think that's pretty cut and dry.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated.
Yes.
Now, on the economy, this was another funny thing. Somebody asked us the other day at work, where Kevin and I were there. They're like, we don't understand. Trump makes these decisions. He hires these people, then he fires them. We don't understand. They thought that Trump was being inconsistent. The funny thing about Trump, because he's not a politician, people that he hired in the first administration, he's now looking back and just shaking his head and clucking his tongue and saying, that guy was an idiot. I can't believe I hired him. And which is funny because he learned. Trump learned. And he's not a practiced politician that can cover his rear, CYA, to make people think that it was his plan all along. He says what he thinks. He says the truth. So here's what he said. On the economy, Trump also took a verbal swipe at Federal Reserve Board Chairman Jerome Powell, who he actually appointed during his first term. Interest rates came down, Trump said, despite the fact that I have a Fed person who's not really doing a good job. And he said, I know much more than he does about interest rates, believe me. Can't you just see him saying it? That's so Trump. He also said he was the president of the workers, not the outsourcers. I love that. The president for Main Street, not Wall Street. And I believe that too. He also talked a little bit about the tariffs, which are controversial. But I'm telling you, this should have been done. This should have been done years ago. World War II has been over for a long time. And basically, the United States really helped everybody, paid for everything, did everything, protecting countries. It's time to switch gears, folks. It's time to switch gears. And it is time for America. America needs to be first in many ways. Now, are we supposed to be helpful and good? Yes, we are. We are. We're a good country, basically. Our people are good. We do want to help. But I'm tired of being walked on and having our money just taken and given to anybody and everybody when America is not being cared for.
Pearls before swine.
That's right. Yeah. This was funny. This was what he said, too. He said, yeah, China's the biggest problem, he said. Their tariff now is at 145%. And they're actually, Zelensky gave in, and they've got their mineral deal. He caved. And China, if they haven't caved yet, they're about to. Oh, yeah. He said their tariff now is at 145%. That's a big difference between that and zero. 145%, zero, big difference. He said, I think it's going to work out. They want to make a deal. We're going to make a deal. And it's not going to be a deal where we lose $1 trillion a year like they got with Biden. So I love that. Voter integrity, this was something else. He touted his executive order on election integrity that he signed this month. Of course, it was blocked. But all these things have got to be worked through. Hold on. This is going to be worked out. He also talked about signing an order to require proof of citizenship to vote in American elections. That was easy. And of course, the Democrats fought him tooth and nail on it. And he made a comment. He said, so why are they fighting me on this? They want to cheat. That's what they do. And then he talked, of course, about, oh, I love this. On a pen. Okay, you know what? I think I'm at the end of it. There was one more thing I wanted to tell you guys. This was it. He talked about DEI. He talked about banning men from competing in women's sports, the spread of DEI in military academies. He said, we have great people running our military academies now. And, you can see it in the people that are now volunteering and wanting to come and be part of the military. So this is going to be a golden age in the military, too. Now, I wanted to say one more thing, too, folks. I don't know if you heard him speak on the National Day of Prayer a couple of days ago. It was wonderful. There's some things that we're going to try to cover probably within the next week or two. And we're going to talk about what he's doing with faith, the faith office. I listened to an interview with somebody the other day that was part of it and was just amazed. Folks, there's going to be protections for faith, and not just Christianity, for faith that I don't think that's ever been before. And I'm very excited about it. And I think we'll probably talk a little bit more about it next week. But he also announced on the National Day of Prayer a Religious Liberty Commission. And Eric Metaxas announced that he was part of that. So very cool. Now, I did want to mention a couple of things, and then we're going to sign off. This is going to be a short one. We're not going to have too much stuff tonight. 2 more weeks to go in the Missouri legislative session. And I tell you, there's still a bunch of crazy stuff going on. We got word over the last couple of days that Proposition A, a job-killing initiative petition that was voted in on November 5th, it's been tied up in court ever since. And believe it or not, folks, in the red state of Missouri with our Supreme Court, it was pronounced to be legal and will stand as is. And I'm telling you, we need to get busy and kick some of their rears out of the Missouri Supreme Court. We have got some liberals in there, Kevin, and they need to go. We need to keep note of everybody that has voted to keep these horrible initiative petitions in, and we need to kick their butts out of office is what we need to do. And you know what? We will help you with that. We will do the research, and when it comes time to vote, we'll tell you who voted for these things, because that's hard to figure out in the long run. People forget. People have a hard time. Anyway, it sounds like it's going to be implemented. There's still a bill in the Senate that could change a couple of things about it, but we'll see what happens. Also, there is another bill, and I don't know if it's come through or not. It is SB 152 that's making its way through the House. This has been over the last couple of days. I don't know if it was voted on yet or not. It could have been today or possibly yesterday. But this is over voter integrity. Folks, we need this. This is going to be basically shutting down George Soros money coming into the country from other countries and coming into Missouri and trying to turn us blue is what they're doing. Just millions of dollars. That's what they did in this last big election in November. Some of these stupid initiative petition bills. Anyway, SB 152, you might call or email your representative. It's going to be coming to the floor if it hasn't already. Tell them you want them to vote yes on SB 152. Now, like I said, 2 more weeks in the Missouri legislative session. We got a couple of good ones in November. I'm gonna end tonight on a really good note. Denny Hoskins. On Facebook a couple of days ago, our new Secretary of State, Denny Hoskins, did a short piece on his first 100 days. He said, I promise to work for the people, protect our elections, improve government services, and support our local communities. And I'm proud to report, promises made, promises kept. Love that. Here's what he did. You guys are going to love it. He partnered with local election authorities in Missouri's 116 counties to clean up voter rolls in Missouri. Get this. He removed more than 150,000 ineligible registrations, including 18,000 dead voters. Kevin, do you think we had dead people voting?
Sounds like a big cemetery to me.
You know, and we were concerned because there were like 5,000 ballots missing in Christian County. There were some strange things starting to happen.
Questions.
This is music to my ears. He's also investigated several credible election complaints, and our complaint from Christian County could have been one of them. He proudly supports President Trump's executive order on election security. And as a matter of fact, if you guys didn't hear about this, a few weeks ago, Secretary of State Hoskins, Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger, watch him. He's another good one. I think he's going to be a great one. I hope he becomes governor. And Ms. Linda Rance, a patriot from Missouri who is an expert on hand counting ballots. Oh, hand counting ballots. Those machines, the tabulators, they say that they don't cheat. I am not convinced. They found 5,000 of these ballots the morning after in a machine that was mysteriously shoved out of the way. Folks, I'm not convinced. We need those machines out of Missouri. There needs to be hand counting. But they actually held a ballot hand counting demonstration in Jefferson City. They were all there. He made the statement that Missouri is all in on safeguarding elections. Thank God, praise you, Jesus. And I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but over the last couple of weeks, Tulsi Gabbard, our director of national intelligence, our own Mugwump, Kevin, she crossed over, made an announcement about those Dominion voting machines. Ugh. She said, this is what she said, we have evidence of these electronic voting systems being vulnerable to hackers and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results. There is apparently an investigation taking place. Hallelujah. Finally, after all these years.
Mike Lindell, he was right.
Yes, he was. And let's see, something else that Secretary Hoskins did was to respond to the complaints of Missouri parents and investigate how Missouri kids were accessing adult-themed digital content in Missouri's public libraries. He busted them. Parents turned him in, and he investigated it. He said, we believe in age-appropriate content and parental rights. That's music to my ears, too. And we acted fast. Folks, he actually defunded part of the money for digital media that was paying for this inappropriate access for children. He defunded him, and he just did it. There's a laundry list of other things that he's doing also. Look at his website. Look at the Secretary of State website, and you can see some of that information. I think he's a good one, Kevin. I'm excited. At the end of his video, he says...
joyful.
Oh, joyful. That's the word of the day. At the end of his video, he says, stay tuned. We're just getting started. There's more to come. I love that. It echoes Trump. So today we had some good things to end the Mug Talk. Kevin, do you have anything to add?
I'm just going to go ahead and just work on my joy a little more. I like the changes, some of the changes. One of my favorite ones, I got me a hat. I really am excited about this. And you know what? I was talking to some school kids today, and they asked me about my hat. And I said, well, I'm kind of excited about the Gulf of America. I said, matter of fact, there's a lot of changes. Mount McKinley is Mount McKinley again.
Right.
And the Gulf of America, I said, you know what? I've thought about passing out Sharpies and having everybody going ahead and correct the history books.
There you go.
The teacher was a little upset with that. But anyway, I probably shouldn't have said that to those kids. If there's anybody that writes a correction with a Sharpie in a textbook, I didn't condone that.
Very good. All right. Well, that's a good word to end on, Kevin. Now, there are some good things going on for sure. He has been, oh my gosh, he's been harassing everybody with his Gulf of America hat. It's so funny. People just kind of look at him. Some people laugh and do this, others not so much. Now, we might be doing an interview next week, or we might be back to doing some talking about the fast-moving current events that are going on around us. Man, they're moving fast. Jefferson City's moving fast, so we may do an update on that too. we'll try to keep you guys updated on what's going on. And if somebody needs called, if somebody needs emailed, we'll try to be on that for you. And one way or the other, we're looking forward to inviting you back in. It's kind of like inviting friends in every week. We like this. But we're going to be looking forward to inviting you back into Mugwump Studio to join us and spend time with us, wherever you are. So for now, you have a wonderful rest of your day, wherever you are, and we'll be back soon with more news, more information, and more conversation to keep you informed, inspired, and always independent. God bless.